name is Calista B, reporting for Kids First, age 17, actually, as today is my birthday. Um,
Happy
yeah,
birthday!
thank you. And today here, I'm interviewing Sarah Megan Thomas, who is the writer and producer of A Call to Spy, and also one of the main actors. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, but I hope you're doing well on your birthday.
Thank you. So for my first question, like I just said, you are a writer, a producer, and an actor in this film. So, what's it like doing all three of these jobs, and do you have a preference?
Yeah, in terms of a preference, I like them all at different times. Do you know what I mean? Like when I'm in the moment with each of them, they're all fantastic. But I will say the hardest one is producing, in my view, because it encompasses so many different skill sets, and you really have to balance a big team on a film. So I find that the most challenging. And I adore acting and I adore writing. But the nice thing about being a producer is you do get to see things from the beginning to the end, which as an actress, you don't necessarily get to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of wearing all three hats, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's interesting. It's tough, but this is my third film doing that, and so I've gained experience over the years on how to take one hat off, put another on. In this film specifically, when it was my turn to act, I asked for 5 minutes, and I put in headphones and listened to Churchill's war speeches,
Oh,
and gave me, yeah, like 5 minutes to get in the zone of the time period and what I had to do next.
that's interesting, yeah, because I personally, I want to be a writer and a director, but I've also done a bit of acting, so it's like, I think definitely, there is a lot of benefit into doing several jobs in the entertainment industry, because you can see a lot of different sides, you can sort of like understand like where, all the different categories of people are coming from and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I think as an actress, it helps with screenwriting, and it certainly would help with directing because you know how to speak to other actors because you've been in those shoes. And in terms of a screenwriter, it's the same thing. When I'm writing, a lot of times I will get into that actor brain and say it out loud and be like, does that feel natural? So they all kind of really balance each other nicely.
Yeah, I think it actually makes a lot of sense when you do it like that. Um, and speaking of writing, I just want to know, because I'm also I just said this. I don't know why I'm acting like I haven't, but because I want to be a writer too. What like motivates you to write the specific stories that you do?
So for me, I always start with a genre that I love and I think is popular and other people love. So my last film was like the first female-driven Wall Street movie. And I love Wall Street movies, but where is the female angle? And then with this movie, A Call to Spy, I knew that I wanted to tell a spy thriller. You know, who doesn't like James Bond? I love it. But that's a certain genre of special effects and where the women are involved, you know, more often than not, there's a romance that's at the center. And so I was interested in the female lens of the daily ins and outs of the grit and determination it takes to be a spy. And so that's when I decided to tell this story, which is about three real female spies in Churchill's secret army, kind of these ordinary, quote unquote, women who became these extraordinary heroes.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that interested me because all three of the main figures in this movie were people that I hadn't heard of, and I was like, there's a lot of interesting like people in history who are kind of like underrepresented in terms of like who they teach in school and like movie adaptations, the based on a true story kind of thing. So if you were to make another like historical drama based on a kind of underrepresented historical figure, who do you think you would make it based off?
That's a great question. I honestly don't know. I think there's so many great female stories to be uncovered that I'd have to do more research. I can say I'm very interested in telling a love story. Now that I told you that I did a spy thriller, you know, I
Yeah.
think that would be really fun. But I'm also really interested in telling these real life stories now that I've done it, because I think, you know, there's the movie aspect of it just being entertaining, but there's also the educational aspect of these hidden figures of whatever world, the hidden figures of the spy world or whatever world I explore next. And I'll note that this film is PG-13, which is great because we certainly hope that a younger generation will learn about these women who aren't in your history books.
Yeah, I definitely think because you know, this is like I think that there's so many like interesting sides of history that we should explore more because like history can be so like simultaneously like amazing and also just so ridiculous and funny that it's like there's a lot of potential there that I personally think is untapped.
Totally. I mean, there's stories in history that you couldn't make up, you know, like in
Yeah.
this film, Virginia Hall, that's the character I play, she had a wooden leg. She shot her leg off in a hunting accident at 27, and she had this wooden leg. And to escape the Nazis, she hiked over the Pyrenees mountain with a wooden leg in the dead of winter. And she succeeded. And like, if I made that up, people would be like, no way, you know? And there's so many stories in history like that.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the wooden leg because I was gonna ask. It's like, you know, you play a character, you play Virginia Hall in this film, and you know she has a wooden leg. What was it like acting with, you know, having like a wooden leg on the entire time?
Yeah, that was a major challenge during the shoot because it was really important to me to have some kind of leg on my leg, like a wooden leg, while I was acting, like even if I was off camera and just acting with another actor, because that is the core of who she is, or part of the core of who she is. She named her wooden leg Cuthbert. It was a part of her. And so I didn't feel like Virginia without it. So it was very challenging. You know, we had a wooden leg, a real like wood that we ordered and put on my leg, you know, props cut around it so that it fit on my leg, and it tied to my back. And then my back went out because it was too heavy. These things were really heavy. So we switched to kind of styrofoam when it wasn't like a close up. But it was very challenging because it's physically exhausting to constantly have to deal with that. So I can only imagine, you know, how hard it must have been for Virginia on a daily basis.
Yeah, wow, that sounds excruciating is the best word I can use to describe it. I mean, if it's for the film, I guess it's like you do what you gotta do. But
Do what
wow,
you gotta do.
yeah, especially in that time period too. Like that would have been even worse. Like,
Well, so the prosthesis that were made for men at that time.
oh,
So she didn't even have something that was custom to her leg. It was just like, here you go. And she'd have to put her stump into something that didn't even fit and caused blisters and all kinds of pain.
oh God, I can't even imagine that. um, and in a similar vein, what were some unique challenges working in a historical drama? Because I did look up some other films that you worked on, and none of them really seem to be anything like this film. So
Yeah, this was a totally new thing. Working on a historical drama was fascinating because there's so much research you can get your hands on. So I was able to access the real spy files of these women and speak with friends or living relatives. But then the challenge, the reverse is that you're playing a real life person. So there's an obligation to accurately depict them, even in the context of a fiction film. Whereas with my other films, they're fiction, so you could kind of do whatever you want. So it was very important to me to do the research and stay true to who these women were and the arc of what happens to them in this movie.
yeah, I see what you mean. Because I think, especially in the context of like this is a story that's very undertold, you definitely do want to make it as accurate as possible, which I can see how, like, in a context of like making a film when you of people who you don't know and like you don't know how they behaved, I can definitely see how that would be quite a challenge.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. And for my last question, do you have any upcoming projects that you're working on?
So I'm very interested in this becoming a mini-series spin-off that can delve kind of deeper into all the lady spies in this Churchill secret army, because there were many more than just the three in this film. And at the same time, I'm exploring some directing opportunities. I also recently had a baby girl, so that will keep
Oh,
me a little busy through the end of the year, next couple months. So there's definitely a lot going on.
wow, yeah. This is late, I guess, but congratulations.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
um, yeah, thank you so much for talking to me about this.
Yeah, thank you. Some really great questions. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and I hope cake and ice cream and partying is on the schedule for the rest of your day.
Well, a little bit. Yeah. I guess that'll be it for this Kids First interview. If you like it, make sure to check out the Kids First website and, of course, all the other Kids First reporters. And I will be seeing you all later. Bye-bye!
Changes the course of the future.